Forecast for the rest of the
Next at 9, a tunnel of love forms in Minneapolis in the wake of a mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church and School.
The whole thing is very emotional to me, but I think it is beautiful.
Plus, widespread fraud involving Minnesota autism centers uncovered.
This as we ask the state's legislative auditor how her office plans to better stop fraud.
It's the state not stopping what it should be stopping.
Then rival high schools in Robbinsdale could merge.
And a brother and sister from Burnsville sit down with Fox 9 after the release of their second indie rock album.
It really kind of is like we're kind of nobodies from nowhere trying to make something big.
This is Fox 9 News at 9.
Our top story tonight, a tunnel of love for the victims of a mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church and School in Minneapolis. Participants say they're standing together in grief and love to honor the 2 children killed and the more than 20 others injured. This after a shooter opened fire while the children were praying before turning the gun on himself last month. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Randy Meyer.
And I'm Kelsey Carlson. Our Leon Purvis was at tonight's Tunnel of Love event, and he joins us in studio now. And Leon, this sounds like it was pretty powerful.
Kelsey, Randy, it really was. People stood on Lyndale Avenue with signs like "Children are the hope," while drivers honked their horns. The message tonight is to remember the victims.
The whole thing is very emotional to me, but I think it is beautiful that we're here.
A community continues to stand together. Almost a month after the tragedy at Annunciation Catholic Church.
Kids ought to be able to go to school and worship in safety, and this should never be an issue where we have such grief.
Many people have held up signs like "Our heart is with Annunciation" every week in September, but for Christine Callahan, it's her first time coming out in support.
All of us who are part of that community in any way are never going to be the same. And so it's important for us to remember that and to honor that and to honor the lives that were lost.
The idea started from members of Judson Church and then is spread by word of mouth. The slogan, "Standing together in grief, standing together in love."
We are all grieving, but it's more about Annunciation and those families and what can we do to help carry that grief with them.
One thing to note, the organizers decided to have the Tunnel of Love in front of the library by Annunciation Church to give the church space as school is back in session. Live in studio, Leon Purvis, Fox 9.
All right, Leon, thank you. Also making headlines tonight, a construction worker is dead after an incident within a construction zone in Burnsville. The State Patrol reports it happened on 35W just before 9 this morning. A contractor was walking when he was hit by a construction vehicle with a boom attachment. He died there at the scene. No other vehicles were involved. The incident is still under investigation tonight.
Right now, an active search is underway for an inmate who escaped from a northern Minnesota jail. 40-year-old Michael Todd Hart escaped from the Northeast Regional Correction Center last night. He was last seen wearing a gray T-shirt, yellow sweatshirt, and blue pants. Hart was sentenced in August for attacking his girlfriend, and authorities say he could be headed toward independence. Anybody who sees him needs to call 911.
And a wild story out of Washington County. On Friday night, the Matamita High School homecoming football game was canceled as law enforcement searched for 2 armed and dangerous men. Turns out prosecutors say they held a family hostage while robbing them of cryptocurrency. Here's our Karen Scullin.
Early Friday morning, the sun just coming up. 2 men carried out a home invasion on Inwood Way in Grant that was nothing short of terrifying, forcing the homeowner into his garage at gunpoint, then tying his hands with zip ties and forcing him inside the home. A mother and son were inside and also bound with zip ties and held at gunpoint, allegedly by Raymond Christian Garcia. But that was just the beginning. The first victim was forced to access his cryptocurrency accounts and transfer $36,000 to an unknown cyber wallet. Court documents show Isaiah Angelo Garcia forced that same victim to drive 3 hours to his cabin in Jacobson, Minnesota, where another crypto wallet was stored. He then transferred another $36,000. They then drove back to the Inwood Way home, but just minutes earlier, the son, being held at gunpoint inside the home, snuck a call to 911. By this time, 9 hours had passed. Law enforcement arrived and the men took off running. A shotgun was found in the weeds not far from the home. Also, a dark suitcase was found nearby containing clothes, cans, and an AR-15 with ammunition and a Wendy's receipt. That Wendy's receipt proved to be key in tracking down the car, which was rented in Waller, Texas, by one of the defendants. A lot of surveillance video from the victim's neighborhood, Wendy's, and a Motel 6, where they were staying, helped detectives piece it all together. The pair had driven 17 hours to target a family they didn't know. The victims believe they found them because some of his cryptocurrency account information had been leaked during a data breach.
Now, the brothers share a home in Waller, Texas. That is where they were arrested. That is also where the rental car was found. Now, there's one big question in all this kind of looming. One of the defendants was actually on the phone with a third party while that cryptocurrency was being transferred. That person on the phone helping them with that process. It's unclear at this point if police know who that is or where they are. In Grant, Karen Scullen, Fox 9.
Well, the Minnesota Board of Pardons has commuted a 1998 murder sentence securing Brian Pippett's freedom. He was convicted of killing Evelyn Malin. The 84-year-old was found beaten and strangled in her Aitkin County store, and prosecutors argued Pippett and 4 other men burglarized the store for beer and cigarettes, killing her in the process. But Pippett long maintained he was innocent, and a review by the Minnesota Attorney General's newly formed Conviction Review Unit found there was no DNA linking Pippett to the crime, and he had an alibi investigators never followed up on. As a result, the Board of Pardons voted to release him. And new tonight, Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty is addressing backlash to a new policy.
Under it, Hennepin County will no longer prosecute most cases stemming from low-level traffic stops. Our So Young Kim heard from Moriarty. And So Young, what did she have to say about it?
Randy Kelsey, Moriarty explained what the new policy will and will not do. Says her goal is that it will increase community trust in law enforcement. Critics say it'll undermine public safety.
Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty says her new policy on non-public safety traffic stops is to address pretext stops.
I've actually heard squad video, body camera, where officers have said, hey, what should we pull this person over for? And they're very open about it, and by the way, it is legal.
Moriarty says this impacts things like expired tabs or broken taillights. Instead, she says limited resources should be focused on dangerous driving behaviors, including speeding and distracted driving. Moriarty says data shows these stops are racially discriminatory and aren't an efficient tool.
Minneapolis, and this was 2017, 2018, when they stopped a black driver and searched a black driver, they found a gun in less than half of 1% of the time.
Many law enforcement leaders have pushed back on this policy. In response to last week's announcement, Hennepin County Sheriff Dewana Witt gave an example saying it is an effective tool.
A 9mm handgun that was modified to be fully automatic was found during that traffic stop. Through our investigation, we learned the firearm was connected to a shooting in Minneapolis and a homicide in Robbinsdale.
Minnesota Police and Peace Officers Association sent this statement that reads in part, quote, her new policy is a gift to criminals and a slap in the face to law-abiding Minnesotans. Guns, drugs, and fugitives discovered during traffic stops will now walk free, while officers are left powerless to act. Moriarty was joined Wednesday by Valerie Castile, whose son Philando was killed during a traffic stop for a broken taillight. That had inspired a similar policy that's already in effect in Ramsey County.
My son was murdered in a pretext stop, and that should not happen.
And Moriarty says there will be exceptions when it's a matter of public safety and will be handled on a case-by-case basis. The new policy will take effect on October 15th. Live in studio tonight, So Young Kim, Fox 9.
All right, thank you, So Young. Another fraud scheme laid out in federal charges. That is coming up next.
Authorities say this one had parents claiming their children had autism when they did not in order to get kickback payments.
And we ask Minnesota's legislative auditor how the state can better stop fraud moving forward. But first, we have Cody Matz tracking an unseasonably warm week.
Indeed, yeah, another beautiful day today. Temperatures in the mid to upper 70s, pretty much statewide. And today may actually be the coldest day of the next 7. Talk that forecast coming up.
The first federal charges stemming from an investigation into Minnesota autism centers is also the first connection between that alleged fraud and Feeding Our Futures fraud.
Asha Farhan Hassan is the 76th Feeding Our Futures